And those were the latest commodities updates. Straight to our very first story, the African Development Bank is projecting a modest 2.8% growth rate for Ghana in 2024 from the estimated 1.5% forecast in 2023. According to the bank, the modest growth reflects the ongoing fiscal consolidation and high inflation weighing on household budget. Now, this was disclosed today in ADB's 2024 Africa's Macroeconomic Performance and Outlook. Here's a Business Desk report. We shall bring you that insight subsequently. Let's move on to some other stories. Chief Executive of the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana, Anthony Morrison, has expressed worry cocoa processing companies may not be able to meet demand due to the shortage of cocoa beans. Bloomberg earlier today reported that the harmattan is partly to blame for the woes in Ghana's cocoa industry. Now, the extreme weather, it says, has battered the crop after heavy rain swamped the fields, prompting the spread of disease and delaying harvest. Reacting to this development, Anthony Morrison called for development of homegrown policies to address challenges in the sector.
Some of our members that operate in the food zone will find it very difficult to fulfill some of their demands, some of which they have already been paid for. Those who are supplying the cocoa nibs, those who are supplying the cocoa powder, and those who are supplying the already final product, could be the chocolate or the final cocoa powder additives. So we are now looking at some of the stock taking. What are actually the emerging issues with the processors? What are the emerging issues that are also coming from the side of the farmers? Issues with logistics, transportation, warehousing. There are quite a gap there. Then also with government not being able to fulfill some of this work that requires to be done. So in short, the effect on the country quite high, okay? And we will also not be able to fulfill some of our international trade partners with regards to purchases of already processed cocoa and the other value additions that we normally export to other countries like Japan, Korea, and UK and Europe, and some parts of US as well. Climate change has come to stay. People can put in their own understanding and issues with regards to the whole theory of climate change, the issues of the amount of carbon dioxide in the system, and also all the other emissions that are being put together. And that is the reason why a lot of people have problems with the government tax on emission. So we need to look at it. Quite frankly, I think that we need a lot of homegrown solutions for the issues of climate change. We need to look at what quantity of agrochemicals do we need in the country. And we do know that Europe, for instance, have instituted a new law banning some foods of forest origin from some countries in Africa. What is our position on that? Do we also need to begin to look at what kind of ban we can put in place for some of the agrochemicals that we are importing from Europe, some of the agrochemicals we are importing, most especially the substandard ones that we are bringing from Asia, okay? So these are some of the things we begin to, our regulatory agencies, the EPA, PPRSD, Standards Authority, Food and Drugs, have to be very strong in this. It is estimated that we have well over 70% of substandard agrochemicals in the industry. And all these are constituted to climate change and issues that are permeating the industry now. We are now talking about seeds that are drought resistant as a result of the climate change. We are talking about seeds that are disease tolerant and all that, and high yielding seeds.
And this is certainly a worrying trend, and we've got to interrogate why that is so. Joining us to help us understand the development is the Head of Public Relations at Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo, to speak to us on the matter. Thanks so much, Fifi, for your time here on Business Live. Help us understand what really is accounting for the shortage of cocoa beans we have been told.
Well, the issue of shortage of beans is a phenomenon that is being experienced across the world. generally production levels across the world has been very down. If you look at the last 3 years, for example, there has been shortage in the market. Previously, we were experiencing surpluses from various producing countries. This time around, we are experiencing shortage from about 150,000 metric tons to about 200,000 metric tons. And what we are experiencing this year, it is largely due to very strong winds, very strong temperature we are experiencing. I'm referring to the El Nino or the strong harmattan we are experiencing across West Africa and other producing countries. Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire have been the major producers of cocoa. And if you look at recent years, the effect of climate change and on production is a major thing we are dealing with. Of course, specifically with Ghana, we have problems beyond the climate condition, issues about illegal mining and its effect on cocoa production, as well as the cocoa swollen shoot viral disease. Of course, that is not an exclusive problem for Ghana. Cote d'Ivoire is also experiencing the same thing. Indeed, for us, we started dealing seriously with it from 2018, and you realize that we've not gotten over the problem yet, but we've halfway into solving that problem. Cote d'Ivoire is also experiencing a similar problem, and that is what has accounted for the challenge we have on our hands at the moment.
Certainly, issues about climate change, I don't know how we can address that, but for concerns like galamsey and what have you, what more is Cocoa Board doing to, avert the impact it's having on cocoa beans?
I have had a extensive conversation with you on your network about what Cocoa Board is doing in terms of dealing with galamsey. Yes, I admit to a very large extent that galamsey is part of the problems we are facing today. But then the truth is also that the El Nino effect, and as well as the swollen shoot effect, are the major reasons why we find ourselves in the situation in which we find ourselves in now. Because if you speak to farmers, they will tell you that production generally has been very low. If you look at the time we're expecting poor development, vis-a-vis the time we're expecting the rains, it did not happen. And the fact that we largely depend on rain-fed agriculture at a time where you expect poor development to coincide with the rains such that it's able to help the cocoa beans or the cherries to mature. It did not happen, and that is what we are dealing with. Of course, we're looking at dealing with the cocoa swollen shoot viral disease. Several farms have been rehabilitated. The expectation is that going into next month, for example, those farms will be handed over to their owners. Between 2 to 3 years' time, the expectation is that these farms will come along and then they will help us improve our production and productivity generally. But of course, on top of that, issues about galamsey, as you asked, is a collective responsibility. The media has largely been supportive in pushing the agenda, but it seems that the more we try to deal with it, the more hardened these persons who are involved in the act are also pushing in destroying cocoa farms that are within the places they undertake their activity.
So for companies or cocoa processing companies who are recording shortages of basically cocoa beans, what happens to them?
We are very much concerned and we sympathize with companies who find themselves in this situation. What we are doing at the moment is, as much as possible, companies, we have contracts with them as a way of servicing the syndication. We'll try and meet their expectation, as well as also ensuring that we are able to get products or cocoa beans for the processing factories. Indeed, as we move into the light crop season, that is where most of these companies get their crop or their preferred crop. We shall ensure that we are able to get them enough beans for them to come back or for them to continue processing. We admit it's a challenging moment, but this is a situation across the world where cocoa production generally is suffering. Of course, there are those who say that, yes, it has accounted for a better price at the international market, but what is better price when the cocoa farmers are not getting the cocoa to be able to take advantage of the price we are seeing at the international market at the moment? But for the companies, our expectation is that immediately we start receiving cocoa from the light crop season, we shall ensure that we get them cocoa beans for them to stay in business by processing.
Very well. Thank you very much, Fifi Boafo, for your time here on Business Live. He is the head of public relations at the Ghana Cocoa Board, speaking to us there. To one of our headline stories, the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, has promised the IMF support for the new finance minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam. Now, this was captured in a letter from the managing director to Dr. Amin Adam. My colleague George Yafe has the rest of the story.
Giver in the letter added that Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam's leadership is also very important and essential in sustaining the momentum when it comes to the IMF program performance as well. The letter by the managing director of the IMF is coming at a time that in the recent interview, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam himself has maintained that he would do everything to ensure that Ghana's program with the IMF is not affected anyway going forward. He has also promised to make revenue mobilization his priority to ensure that the country is able to raise the required funds to finance its rising expenditure.
Let's get to speak to an economist, Dr. Patrick Esuming, on the back of this. Thanks so much, Mr. Esuming, for your time here on Business Live, and always a delight to have you on. Coincidentally, this letter is coming at a time the finance minister had pledged to stick to dictates of the program without any derail moments after he was appointed. And now this letter from the fund.
Good evening to viewers. Thanks for having me. I think that's exactly what you expect. That there will be an expression of commitment from both sides. So don't forget that, as you mentioned, the new incoming finance minister confirmed that he's going to stick with the program. And the IMF from their side also confirmed that they are committed to the program. So that's just to assure potentially G3 investors that, you know, some investors who might be wondering what is happening, changing the finance ministry while the IMF program is going on, to assure them that the program is going to go ahead as planned. So I think that this is largely expected. This is what you expect the two parties to do, to confirm that they are sticking with the plan.
Let's talk about the content of the letter. Now, she's telling the finance minister to sustain program momentum, really to achieve economic stability. Realistically, within 9 months, do you think Amin Adam can do that?
I think, you know, sustaining momentum as described doesn't require any new thing. So in that case, it's just really ensuring continuity. That's how you should read it.
Okay.
Now, both the government side and the IMF side has been playing up the progress that has been made in the program so far, talking about the relative stability that has been achieved. So when it says continue the momentum, it simply means stick with the implementation and ensure that we don't reverse course. So I think there's nothing strange in that language at all. It's not asking the new finance minister to chart a new course, just to continue and stick with the program and stick to the agreed program details.
Now, coming from the boss herself, do you think that, or really, what will this mean to our next review?
I don't really expect that the change in the personnel at the Ghana's Ministry of Finance will change anything. The program and the timing of the review has already been determined. And don't forget that the incoming minister has been part of the finance ministry for a while. And so it's really more of a continuity. But, you know, don't forget with these things, once there's a change in personnel, there's always a chance that people might think that changing, you know, new king, new law. So it was just necessary for both sides to confirm that, you know, we are going ahead with the program as planned. The change of personnel doesn't mean change of plans. So I think we shouldn't expect any changes either in the broader content of the program or the timing of our reviews. I expect that things will continue as expected.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Patrick Esuming. We are indeed grateful for your time here on Business Live. You're still watching Business Live with me, Pius Kojo Baka. We are pausing for a breather. I'll be right back with more. Please stay. Welcome back to the program. Inflation could climb higher in February and March 2024 to 26%. That's according to GCB Capital. Now, this follows a marginal increase in the year-on-year inflation to 23.5% in January 2024. More in this report.
Surprisingly, shot up marginally by 0.03 percentage points, largely on account of unfavorable base growth. According to Capital, inflation will disinflation from April 2024, all things being equal. It therefore expects headline inflation to be under 20%. It also pegged its end-of-year inflation outlook at 16.5 plus or minus 1%, all things being equal. However, it stressed rates to inflation from the simmering depreciation of the cedi, despite the foreign exchange liquidity cushion from disbursements under the ongoing IMF program. It reiterated the risk to inflation from any unrestrained expenditure in the run-up to 2024, which could reignite demand-driven price pressures around the peak of the political season.
Now, the African Development Bank is projecting a modest 2.8% growth rate for Ghana in 2024 from the estimated 1.5% forecast in 2023. According to the bank, the modest growth reflects the ongoing fiscal consolidation and high inflation weighing on household budget. Now, this was disclosed in today's episode of AFDB's 2024 Africa's Macroeconomic Performance and Outlook. Here is our Business Desk report.
Forecast by the African Development Bank is in line with that of the government. However, Ghana's growth rate of 2.8% in this year will be the lowest in the West African sub-region. According to the African Development Bank, the ongoing International Monetary Fund program will impact the private sector and household consumption. This will limit their spending. Again, the price of goods and services will remain high. In West Africa, Ghana and Nigeria will be the two countries that will grow below the region's average of 4.0%. Meanwhile, Niger will record the highest growth rate of 11% in Africa in 2024, aided by hydrocarbon production and export.
Government is targeting $1 billion annually from salt mining. Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Income Investment Fund, Edward Nana Yao Kranting, told Oxford Business Economics Africa that Ghana has already invested $30 million in salt value chain to enhance local content participation.
Investing $30 million in salt. And salt has 14,000 uses. And Ghana is looking at how we are able to invest in this to expand the value chain of salt usage. We're looking at pharmaceuticals, bicarbonate soda, food preservation, textiles, and aluminium casings. And we're investing in Electrochem. Electrochem is managing a 41,000 acre Adasongo space. The biggest salt production company in sub-Saharan Africa, Walvis Bay in Namibia, is about 16,700 acres of salt. And we have in Ghana the potential of 99.9% industrial salt or purity is 41,000 acres. That's more than twice the size of the Walvis Bay. And Ghana is positioning itself as the #1 salt producer in sub-Saharan Africa. There's the potential of Ghana making about $1 billion every year from salt alone. The government of Ghana in this vein has set up the Minerals Income Investment Fund, a specialty sovereign wealth fund dealing mostly with minerals. The whole idea is to develop ways and means in which Ghana can benefit from the entire value delivery system of mining. And Ghana value from mining, as we've seen in countries like South Africa, Canada, Australia, China, etc. We gather all the royalties and re-inject into the mining space as investment. The other bit has to do with the management of government of Ghana's equity interest in mining companies.
In more business news, more than 400 small and medium enterprises have benefited from the collaboration by the Ghana Enterprises Agency and the German Support Corporation to small businesses within the digital innovation training. The project aims at sustainable growth of these SMEs, particularly women-led, through the use of digital tools and e-commerce visibility. There is more in the following Business Desk reports.
Training program was designed to fully leverage the potential of digitalization with accounting software solutions and others to improve their financial management systems. Speaking at the closing ceremony for the beneficiaries, Chief Executive of the Ghana Enterprises Agency, Kwesi Yankee Ayer, told Joy Business that this will go a long way to solve many challenges women face in accessing a wider market.
Look at the processes of the businesses. So you take an SME and the process from start to beginning. What are some of the challenges and how does technology or digitalization play a role? The first thing we realized was access to markets. So we help them build websites, strengthen their social media presence. If they didn't have a social media presence, we put them on social media. So all the tools that would get them to strengthen their e-commerce online. And the second thing we actually also did was looking after the e-commerce and looking at the access to market component was even the tools they had to strengthen their existing business. So in terms of accounting, how do you use technology to strengthen your accounting real time, to build your revenues, to strengthen your profitability? So having that as well. How do you sell products? How do you even market your business? How do you network online? And so all these were tools that were utilized. Those were things that we brought on board for the partners to be able to grow their businesses.
The German corporation, which has spent about 6 million cedis on the project, believes that the only way for Ghanaian SMEs to penetrate the international market is through digitalization. Team lead on Invest for Jobs at the German corporation, John Duty, explains the need for such investments in the sector.
As I said, it's either you digitalize or you perish. In this competitive world, everybody is going online to look for products. So you could have the best of products, but if you are not reachable on the digital space, then of course nobody will know what you do. So we think that with this 6 million, targeting more than 400 SMEs, I sincerely think it's worth it. And as we're speaking with them some of them already have completed their websites, and you can go on it and see what they are really selling.
The closing ceremony afforded beneficiaries the opportunity to share experiences as well as market some of their products.
And that's all in this package by way of Business Life. I am Pius Kojobaka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Great stories on that portal. Visit there. That's all in this bulletin. I leave you with international business.